Hello and welcome as today's date comes in that of Friday the 29th day of May 2020. My name is Derek. This is the Money Charts channel. Like always, all bets, trades, and of the like within each's own risk and their own reward. For myself, risk reward management is always job number one. The silver futures coming in at that of $18.35. Now looking to break above this Fibonacci resistance as it pretty much pierced less, which is very rare. Usually it pierces extra on these moves, and since it's not much of a move to this line, I'm expecting it to go higher, but as I can see on the daily chart, a significant break, noticeable break, above the 18 average of highs after it, noticeably didn't even go in this band within this correctionary phase, because it went from this high from May 14th up to that of the 20th. But over the last several days, small down move of only that of 3.7%, and then just hanging in there at the exact lows of those days for several more, and then the breakout status yesterday's price above the lows supporting the level of resistance, and today continuation on the single hour term time frame. There is an interesting setup that came in. Didn't push it the first time. I was waiting for it to come up, but there we go. So here we are, 4 o'clock in the morning. It had this rally earlier, but just beautiful correctionary play, and even in not in a sideways range, but even in an upward range, as we can see these higher lows that was coming in. The 18 average barely was in that of an uptrend. And you can state, well, I'm going to state rather, the attempt to break higher happened yesterday morning at 9 o'clock, albeit failing for that time. Succeeding, though, on the correction move because it held the 18 average of lows, attempting to break out early in the morning at 1 o'clock, not quite. Took another breath in, and then I guess you could say attempted here and quite, meaning it had a significant break above this established resistance it had between $18.03 on the futures market and $18.09 on the futures market. Yeah, I have to give you different prices because what can we do here? We could go and see. This is the wrong one. These are my 41%. I'll get to that when we get to crypto talk. I know that's T-Fuel. Oh, I probably should. Good. I want a good sale order. Anyway, let's go in and take a look at the actual silver. And we can see that 1771, where it says silver, you can read, hard to read, but CFDs on silver, which is like the future. I don't know what that is, but CFDs. Either way, that's one of the paper prices, digital prices I like to call it. Well, easy math. What's the difference? How many cents does it take to go to the top of the dollar? Well, about 27 plus another 33. That's about 60 cents. And the differential of these two is starting to get noticeably out of hand. In fact, I'm going to try right now, I haven't done this yet, to actually put the ratio of this versus the actual silver. And then that's okay, wrong button. And the wrong button again. And come on. There we go. See what this looks like. It's like 1.034 now. Yeah, 1035. Let's take a look at this on the daily. I guess we'll do weekly. Alrighty, there we go. There we have it. So, things are changing on here because this is one silver price divided by the rest. So what we can see here is I can put this line right at 1.000, and that's pretty much where it should be trading a little above and beyond. And sometimes with time delays and different things, you might have a little close above or below this line. But as we can see, it just has generally always had that move. Now, what we're seeing here is a situation where the 18 is rising, spending several periods really above the 1 number. Has this really ever happened before? And I'm checking for the first time because all of these moves in here are just these little quick blimps up or down. And I'm really looking for the moves on the upside. Like nothing really much in here. This is 2008. Now what was going on here in this is the start of this, I suppose. But yeah, this is like interesting behavior, to say the least. And I mentioned before, I think it's last call for precious metals, last call for cryptocurrencies as far as getting any of these magnificent prices. And I guess you could say the cat's out of the bag, or you open up that can of soda, the fizz has already been blown through. It's happening. There's nothing more else that we can say. And inflation's already coming into play as far as like essential food items and different things. So this inflationary, deflationary cycle, hyperinflation, as I recently called it, to me, seems to be in play. And I don't mean hyperinflation and hyperdeflation. It's just decent amount together at all major levels. Also, things have called like the everything bubble, renamed by Mike Maloney to the almost everything bubble. Well, we're living it right now. Let's take a look at some other markets. Let's quickly look at gold. And within the gold, we got 1729 and 1741. And gold had that little bit earlier, actually. And it's not as bad now. We're not much of a differential. The differential is like 12 points. So it's like 0.7 or so percent. We'll take a look at gold, and I'll even put this the same ratio in. As far as the long-term chart, it's just been fantastic. Now that's coming up to this previous lower end of resistance right now. Lower end meaning this level of high, but not this little small failed breakout up to above 1800 to 19. On the daily chart, silver's getting a nice breakout pattern. Gold right now, of course, isn't it? Still in the correctionary phase, attempting to leave the 18 average of highs. Still has to get by the previous resistance levels near 1770, at least on this number. So as far as this is concerned, we're probably going to see the earlier stages of it. As we can see up in here, it had those moves. So we look at the daily chart. This was a situation where it got a March the 20th all the way up until like April 14th. So for close to a month, the difference between these two in that situation. And this is not too often does it happen. I guess we'll take a look back in here. What was the story in here? See, what we're not doing is we're not seeing prices hold and stay above or below the 18 average of lows anywhere, any means there. And nor is it usually supposed to because of those things that I mentioned. But here we see a spot, and silver doing the same thing. We have 2 days, or 2 weeks in this case, 2 periods, where it held and stayed above the 18 average of highs. Right now, pretty much back to that one number, but technically I don't think it's not. If I times this by, say, 1,000. Yeah, you can 100.6, so 0.5%. 101 or 1,010, whatever, would be 1%. So 0.6%, as I was mentioning, of a differential. So the line for even par would be somewhere around, well, that's close enough at 999.9. Yeah, so it's just a little bit higher. I don't know. This seems very interesting. And if anyone knows about these differential prices and can let me know some information I may not be aware of, or a website that I can go to, let me know. Thank you very much. And let's look at the ratio for gold and silver. And I suppose that depends on which ratio I want to look at. 97.4 here, 95 either way. Both of them have slid below 100 after having a significant break above that level. And now it's coming. This was a major level of resistance. So this is either start of a good trend higher. It could be a failed breakout, start of a new range type thing, yada yada. But long term, as I'm saying, whatever the short term discrepancies are, whether we go back up to 100 and test these highs or break them, or stay in a new range, say between like 80 something and maybe 100 and something. I don't know. In the long term, which I don't think, and I've been saying this for a while, I don't think it's that far off as much anymore. I don't know, but not only do I think come back down to the 32 historic levels, but well below that as well. All right, let's move over to cryptocurrencies. And first off, that of Bitcoin, long-term analysis, start off within the monthly term. And it's been a continuation of this sideways consolidation pattern that it has been in the last few years. On the weekly chart, holding within the 18 average of highs, this is period number 4 of doing so, which is a very strong setup as I'm looking at this. So hopefully this will continue on moving forward. And I think it will, but of course, the market's always going to do what it's going to do. Further continuation within the 18 average of highs in the upper end of this range. The lower end between 8,700 down to about 82. The upper end up to 90, basically under 10,000 or at 10,000, and even around like 96. Right now it's at 94. So close to the upper part. But as far as the 18 average of highs, nice little run up higher, and it's been going consistently sideways, going below the lows. It held. Now it's barely going above the highs as it tried to break out here. Hasn't broke higher in either one. So sideways range is just the markets can correct either through price or through time. So this up move right now is correcting through that in a time sentiment statement. On the 3-hour chart, we had a rally just a couple of days ago, so far holding in there within its move. Now it's having its first good 18 average correctionary phase. And I'll use the word good as in going below it within it, and even for a decent amount of time, because here it just pierced on it and lifted higher. A little bit here, nice breakout phase for the last move. And on the single hour term time frame, this is a spot where we're seeing a price go below it for the first time for the most part. So now is it going to be able to hold above it? Well, if you've already establishing this level of support at 93, and if you can build a base upon this a little bit more and you start to see a little bit of weakness going through, then you can get maybe a good indication, maybe around a little over 93 or barely breaking 93, that just maybe this thing will probably even, well, if it's breaks 93, it's going to go an easy 100 fall, minimal, conservative. I mean, I would expect it to go to like 91 high change, but even realistically, maybe 91.50 or lower. On that situation, we've already established levels of resistance between this here. I guess 9,500 is, if it breaks above that, it looks like, hey, it's got the potential for a continuation of a new higher high, but it has to get above this level of resistance between 95.93 and 9,600. You're seeing it maybe hold and stay above this for a decent amount of time. That gives you a good strong setup, but really that's what it would be. And now let's move on to that of Theta. And we can see the price action in here on the hourly time frames in at 34.82. And in the last video, I mentioned about the 4,000, key numbers, 4,000, 3,000, and 2,000. And most certainly they're coming into play. This is only the 4-minute time frame. This is an exact hit, but that's like, man, whatever. Or it tells you it's probably a good Fibonacci line, whatever on that, though. Because I'm looking at Fibonacci from this high and the lows. And after this last failed move higher, it was unable, not even close, to find support in the range of where it came from between 57.62 and 53.20 area, just breezing right down there and continuation further. Not even finding that much support at previous congestion lows at around 48 high change. And it had its first little move, meeting up with the 18 average in here, but that was quick on both ends. Quick to get up there, only consistent up moves in like 8 minutes, or 8 periods rather, 30 minutes. And then huge move lower. No support, so you can see this is a spot of weak support. Obviously none in this case, and a significant leg lower, time correction. And then it has a bounce at this fib line, which was its third bounce in the downtrend, because this was bounce 1, bounce 2, bounce 3. This bounce better than the other ones, and again, key levels. And now that you come back to it, like we see here, that tells you, ooh, this could be that's a weak. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's guaranteed to break through, but the more often you test support, the more likely it is that you break through it. And especially here, when it was at 4,034, you look at what 4,034 looked like over here on the 1248 stamp. Well, it was way overextended to the downside, and it was at a key Fibonacci line it had not seen yet during this decline. Now, in this case, it already had several periods go by. It was just breaking down from the 18 average of highs. So in this spot, this might have been a setup where it's time to cover your shorts or go long for a short-term trade or any of that. Now, this would be a spot where you're looking to go short maybe, and you can see in here, in this case, it would have worked out. You break through this layer of support, and as I mentioned in the video, if it breaks through this 4,000, I'm expecting a clear, concise move to 3,000. And that's exactly what happened. Well, we had some few runs here and there, but none of it were able to hold. It had this rally unable to get to the 18, and there we have it. A hit at the 3,000 level, and from this point on, it manages to have another run. And this was okay, didn't resist this area where it came from, was supporting at least for a while, because it comes back down, and we have another hit of this level. And then it rallies fast, holds great big correctionary move that passes. I like to call this a matching high, even though it's most certainly technically a higher height of this one, but it's most certainly a matching in here, just building a huge base at this 34 2/3 change level. Okay, maybe that would become important. Well, here's a spot where it tries to get above it a couple more times, and then a decent decline, higher lowing this level here, And that's where we have this very interesting situation right now as I'm doing this at that of 9:41 a.m. Eastern Time. And if we can see it hold and support this area for a decent amount of time, that gives us a good setup. But hey, to me, it looks like just maybe this thing has the potential to get going. If we look at this, you can see the down slide, been going sideways. So again, we look at this on some other time frame analysis. Single hour time frame, the downtrend, of course, has stopped with this consistent, clear sideways action, but a decent amount of ways to go to regain the trend. And when you look at this from a long-term perspective, all the stuff I've just shown is extreme short-term analyses. Because just in here on this, and this is, I guess, for what's going on. I mean, daily chart is a much different story. But within this, a move that I talk about the short term is in a statement on this time frame. As in, it's gonna, if it could make up to 36, 37, oh, that's a statement that this downtrend is over. It wants to revert it. I'd be looking for any breakout here to find some resistance at 4,000. If it doesn't, I'd be looking for a really fast move continuation higher, because if you don't support or resist where you're supposed to, well, then a continuation on that trend further higher, and usually really, really large, like red or green size. In this case, would be green. But it still has to get above this move we can see here after getting to the highs, the pausing near and below for the most part below the 18 average of highs, or for most of the time below it. And then after the pause period, this is a statement, attempt in breaking out of the neutrality range, and thus bringing a bull market in play. So the next step to do it, okay, if you really want to do it, let me start to see a big rise. That's what you need for the 18 to go higher. And then I realized that the Fibonacci resistance is 4,020. On the daily chart, it's within its correctionary phase in here. It's not come down to the lows, but again, coming down to the Fibonacci point. 18 average of highs comes in at like 37.52, really so to a degree coinciding within this. So as it goes, if it's at like 42, 43, then you'd have a clear break against both the 18 highs and then this fib line. And within this great run, that might tell you that this run isn't over yet, that this is just a counter trend rally within the trend, or a much shorter term correction for its time frame. And thus highs and lows are known after the fact. So I don't even know. I guess you can say we don't even know and should know that 6,400 is the high yet. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. If this thing is unable to get any type of rallies above this going, and it can either break down for lower moves, or it can establish a good base support for a time correction, then this high would be that of 64. But if I start seeing this breaking higher in the good mid 43s, 43, 44 time frame, I'm looking at weak resistance at 63. And weak resistance could mean a correction of like 25, 30, 35%, but that's weak given the volatility. Meaning, oh, maybe it comes back down only to 47 or 46 kind of deal. That is not that big of a move considering where we're going, because I realize if it breaks this, then not only do I think this is going to the 10,000 handle, but I think it's going to be a noticeable move above it, maybe 12 or 13,000 as its next level resistance, and maybe like 16 or 18. But these cryptos, when they're ready to go, could have fantastic plays. T-Fuel is up to 122. It's not up as much as I thought. I got alerts and ready to go for this in the ratio. I mean, this alert's like way here. This one, of course, not going below. This is where it's going to buy some more, but big move up, big move down. I sold pretty much almost all that I had to a degree, but not really. I've had 2 buybacks already from this 4 red candle down move, which is very good to have had. Of course, unfortunately, not getting the 3rd. That's okay. And on the hourly time frame, from this correctionary move, many lower highs and lower lows. And really, even from this point here, the only time it really got above the 18 average of highs was briefly here, as it was just barely down, I suppose, and getting to the highs here. But as it got to the highs just recently, over the last little bit, the last couple hours, it had a very big breakout above this 97, and it's been concise so far. So even just using the 100 number, it's gotten to 127. That's a 27% increase in price just from this point. And from the lows, of course, from the 90 lows, the differential is 37 points, and that would be about close to 40% of a break. But same sort of deal. This is a statement, and if this thing goes, you could have fantastic moves. I don't know why people want T-Fuel. I think there's a reason here or there. So I have to kind of think it's kind of take it seriously. And I'm not just saying this because of the price moving up so high. I mean, that I know that happens in the crypto spaces, and coins that aren't that good are just going to go down big or through a lot of time, and the highs are just going to be just at the highest that they are. However, the volume that came on T-Fuel to this high was exceeding that of Theta, which in dollar terms or in Bitcoin terms, however you want to look at it, that's just crazy. So I don't know why they want it, but that just means as a trader for me, I'm going to try to, I'll just be serious in buying them back is another way of putting it. And again, I bought back at 100 Satoshi, or right down the bottom, even right around here I bought. And then I bought maybe somewhere around here. But now, if it goes up again, where would I sell next? Well, probably not till break above 150 anyway. Maybe sell a little bit here. I want to make sure that on retracement moves that I sell a lot lighter than I did the previous time. Meaning, what I sell from here to here will be less than what I would sell from here to here. And it's going to work out in two ways. One, I'll sell less than I had, and two, I've already gained coins on the buybacks already. So I like these intra-move rallies. Theta having a little themselves. Thankfully, I was able to get a little bit of buybacks. Unfortunately for Theta, I did miss both times because I wasn't available for the computer to see it at those prices, the 3,000 price. But I was able to get some prices beforehand to get some Theta back. And yeah, so from here to here, I don't want to sell as much as I did here. And that means on the break of resistance, because of this buyback, I'm in better shape breaking above here than I would have been if this thing just would have kept going above here. All right. Is there really anything I just feel like talking about? It's already been long, 21 minutes. I could go a bit longer. I mean, nothing else really is moving too much. All these are small percentage moves. Tezos at 2.5%. Let's just take a look at its story. I haven't looked at this chart in days, really. So within the hour, just grindingly higher highs and higher lows. How long this will continue, I don't know. Daily chart, a whole bunch of lines I've put in, and they haven't been really doing too much or anything fascinating lately at all. I mean, this resistance not coinciding here, but as it goes, this was an attempt for the market to go higher, and it really did, but didn't. It did what I would like to see if it's going to have a correction, which it did, and that support a higher low where it came from, 18 average of lows, or even it can go below it and hold above it. In this case, it really didn't, but could have came down to 28. Now that it has had this correctionary move and we're seeing price action get to and microscopically above the 18 average of highs, that if you see further movement well above 3,100, especially if it has further continuation, because I mean, I wouldn't really like, maybe if this is going to be resistance at 32, I think maybe it goes to like Pierce's extra, like 33 and change maybe. But I don't think that it's going to be too much of a difficulty getting above this level if it can successfully even get up to another 2-3% or get above 3,100. We can still get up here and resist this level, and this can go in a sideways range. But I guess with a lot of these coins, when they're ready to go, they just have fantastic moves. You can see in here what Theta's doing. This is going from 802 thirds or 865 up to 25, back down to like 14, up to 4,000. And so overall, this move is from 800 to 4. That's about 4.5, 5 times. So that's a fantastic move. We've seen Theta do better than a 5x move now. And my favorite ratio crosses right now has been Tezos and Theta. And I think that might be one of the cool, not the big, these current high market caps like your Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin, LITECOIN, Ethereum, and such. But the Tezos and Theta and at 8.8, and these moves are just amazingly sick. So we can see on the daily chart how you have 11 down to 8, up to 27, now down to 5. So I'd like to see this maybe go back up to 21, maybe back down to 5, up to 21, and just do a whole bunch of sideways back and forth. And in the meantime, I'll just keep on flipping these coins back and forth and increase my ownership of both of them. Thank you for tuning in. Have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.